I'd like to call the meeting to order. And we'll stand and have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Will you excuse me from standing?
Certainly.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So, Chrysia, will you please call the roll?
Of course. Chair Olive Horning,
Present?
Vice Chair Bobby Bryan,
Present.
Member Patrice Campbell,
Present.
Member Elizabeth Lamug,
Here.
Member Trevor Estill,
Here.
Member Tony Jones,
Here.
Member Carmelo Okendo.
Here.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum, so we can begin. So we have the minutes from the work session and also our August meeting. Have you had a chance to look over the minutes? Okay, everybody's had a chance to look over for the work session anyway. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes for the work session.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, so we've approved the minutes for the work session. Now let's go to the 6 o'clock meeting here. If you could just look over this and see if you have any questions before we go on. I guess I have a question for you on this, Christine, just because, I wasn't at the meeting. On the individual board comments, do you have a timeline that you use for, approval for, items coming to this committee?
What do you mean a timeline?
Well, there was a question here. Patrice had a question. Or she proposed an approval timeline for items presented to the board.
Oh, I see.
And I
Okay.
just wondered if you have one, that you follow.
So I believe what that's referring to is we were discussing expiration date of certificate of appropriateness application. And we did speak with the department director, Melissa Dunklin, about that. And we are going to align that expiration with the building permits and other approvals of the city to 1 year.
Okay.
So once the COA is issued, they have 1 year. If they haven't taken action during that time, they'll have to reapply all over again.
Got it. I understand. All right, thank you. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, if there are no other questions about the minutes, then I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes, to approve the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for August 8th.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, thank you. We got the minutes all approved. That's good. Okay. All right, old business. Is there any old business that we needed to discuss? No?
No.
Okay, all right then. Moving on to new business. This is the certificate of appropriateness for 1425 11th Street. And so, Christine, I'll let you
Yep.
go ahead with that.
Okay, the applicant is requesting approval from the Historic Preservation Board for a COA to construct a detached garage at the rear of the property. The garage will be located behind the home at 1425 11th Street. and that is shown there in Figure 1. Scope of work is to construct a detached garage measuring 20 feet by 2 inches by 22 feet 2 inches at the rear of the property. The proposed material finishes include asphalt shingle roof, vinyl siding, metal garage door, and metal entry door. The roof pitch will match the pitch of the house located on the same parcel. The parcel is on a corner lot, and the garage will be accessed via an existing curb cut on Kentucky Avenue. The building is located within the city's commercial business district, CBD2, and within the boundaries of the city's historic preservation district. The building is non-contributing to the local historic district and non-contributing to the downtown National Register district. The Osceola County property appraiser reflects the year of construction of the main building as 1925. The north elevation of the associated house is reflected in your Figure 2. Drawings of the proposed garage are reflected in your attachment A in your packet. A detached garage was recently demolished and was located where the proposed garage is intended. The applicant did not apply for nor received a certificate of appropriateness for demolition of the prior garage. The applicant, just as a sidebar, has been notified by staff that they have to get an after-the-fact demolition permit for the one they already took down. Okay? Additional criteria in your ordinance I through 9 relate, 1 through 9 relate to the project. And I'm gonna read the comments. So for 1, new construction and alterations, setting, orientation, and setbacks. So the comments under that is the proposed garage will be constructed in the same location as the previous garage. The orientation of the building will be visually compatible with that of other buildings in the historic district at street level. Building height, staff comments are the proposed garage will be visually compatible in comparison or relation to the height of existing buildings in the historic district. Design styles, staff comments is the proposed garage takes its design cues from the prevailing architectural styles within the historic district. Proportion of openings, staff comments is the proposed openings for the garage doors are visually compatible with the openings of existing contributing buildings within the historic district. Rhythm of solids to voids, staff's comments are the relationship between solids, walls, and voids, windows and doors of the building are not visually compatible with the surrounding buildings at street level. And this is due to the fact that the proposed new construction is for a garage, not a house, so those openings are not aligning. Therefore, the garage will not contain windows that are visually compatible with the surrounding buildings at street level. Rhythm of spacing along the street, staff comments are, there are no other examples within this block of houses with detached garages. Therefore, it is not possible to compare the relationship of the proposed garage and the open space between it to other buildings on each side of the street in that block. Relationship of materials and textures, staff's comments are, the proposed materials and textures of the building are asphalt shingle roof, vinyl siding, metal garage door, and metal entry door. The predominant materials of the historic district are asphalt shingle roofs, wood siding, and wood doors. It is recommended that the exterior materials be chosen so they are compatible with the existing historic buildings. Roof shapes, staff's comments are, the proposed roof shape is compatible with the roof shape of existing contributing buildings and will match the roof shape of the existing house located on the same parcel. And last, size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume. Staff's comments are the physical size, scale, bulk, mass, and volume is compatible with the existing contributing buildings within the historic district at street level. Staff is recommending that the HPB approve with conditions the request for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a detached garage measuring 20 feet by 2 inches by 22 feet 2 inches at the rear of the property located at 1425 11th Street, as detailed in your attachment A. And the recommended conditions of approval are, the roof pitch will match that of the house and the material finish will be asphalt shingle. The material finish for walls will be wood siding or fiber cement siding. The material finish for the entry door will be wood or fiberglass, and the material finish for the garage door may be steel, wood, wood composite, or fiberglass. The recommendation for approval with conditions is based on a finding that the proposed garage is consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57 and complies with the requirements outlined in that ordinance. And complies with the requirements outlined once the condition above has been applied. Specifically, the garage design is in compliance with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance, as long as the material finishes are compatible with the predominant materials and finishes outlined in the staff report. Question for me? Or would you like the applicant up?
My question is, I know we were talking about the time limit that people have to complete these tasks. Will this be grandfathered in, or is this something that is going to be outside that realm of what the city is proposing?
You mean the 1-year time limit on the COA approvals?
Correct.
Yeah, we're doing all COAs going forward with giving 1 year, but I understand that they're pretty eager to start the project.
Okay, good. Perfect.
Just for clarification, Christine, it says the material finish of the entry door will be wood or fiberglass. The question I have regarding that is I actually have steel door on one of my properties that is a wood finish. Would that be, is that what are we discussing the construction or the exterior finish of the door?
That's going to be up to the board to determine. The applicant has proposed metal, that in looking at the ordinance and doing the staff report, the predominant material in the district is wood, and that would have been originally there, so that's why that recommendation is in there as a condition. But that's really going to be for the board to determine, so you may want to have a conversation with your fellow board members about that.
And I only raised that question, and I would be happy for anybody else to chime in. There are so many options out there now that are, and it's a security thing for me. If the end look is correct, you're gonna have to put your hands on it to tell whether it's wood or fiberglass or steel. That's been my experience with them. So I would be more concerned about whether the door is going to be painted to match the house rather than what material it's made out of. That would be my position on it.
So when you say it's I have a question. Do you mean like the one that you have, is it a wood veneer over top of a metal? Is that what it is?
It's actually printed, and unless you physically touch it, you cannot tell the difference from beyond 1.5 feet, 2 feet. So, are the
'Cause
garage doors wood finish, or are those wooden doors that we're talking about painted? I think that has some bearing on how that final wording.
I think if
goes
you, yeah, the material finish, I think would be like, if you worded it this way, would have to be like a wood veneer over metal would probably suffice as a wood finish. Probably not we'd have to word it different if they were going to allow what you're saying.
Yeah, so you'd consider that when you're crafting your motion. If you don't want to use the motion, that's in the staff report. One thing to consider, and this is, your ordinance is not so specific toward this, but a lot of times in historic districts, what I see as an issue with the metal garage doors is they sometimes dent easily if they're not a certain quality. So that might be something when you're crafting the motion too. If that's something that you care about, you might want to consider that in putting your motion. Are you all ready for the applicant?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi.
So the house has, do I just start talking?
I think
Okay.
you please.
Okay, my name's Melissa Walters. I'm the homeowner. I live at 1425 11th Street. So the house has vinyl siding. Yes, and we proposed that it would match the house. Yeah, our doors are, yeah, they're metal. So the entry doors on the home itself is metal, it's steel.
So what was your preference did you do it to match the house, or would you have preferred to go with wood or the,
I prefer to
hardy
match
board.
the house. I would prefer a door that's strong. A wooden door to me is really old-fashioned and not very strong. I would not want a wooden door on my garage. Recently, I've had things stolen from like my backyard because the fence right now is somewhat open. So I've had, that's become
and what
an
about the
issue.
siding?
The siding is vinyl.
And that's what you were you wanted to have the vinyl siding, or?
Well, I was always told that it had to match. So to match it, the house has vinyl siding.
Okay. What is the rules on that? Does it have to match? It doesn't, right? It's supposed to be the, okay. That's what I was kind of,
The ordinance criteria is it's supposed to match the predominant materials, and of course, you're in a historic district, so we look at what the predominant materials of the district are.
Okay.
If anybody came in right now requesting vinyl siding over existing wood siding, that would not be something that we would approve. That would be something we could send to the board, but that's not a historic material. So, things like that did happen before you had a district and before you had an ordinance, things like that showed up, porches being enclosed, vinyl siding or aluminum siding being added. But we're looking at this point in time now and looking at the ordinance as it is now. Does that make sense?
yes. Thank you.
Have you
I know.
looked at garage doors, and are you leaning one direction or the other?
I have not shopped garage doors. My thing was to get this approved, and then, I browsed garage doors. I want whatever is gonna be safe and not dent very easily, or not look horrible, something nice, metal
Okay.
preferably, but not anything, of course, that dents very easily. I don't wanna stare at that. I'm sure no one else does.
From my point of view, I think the siding would be the biggest one for me, I would say as long as it's not the vinyl siding is a one for me. The doors and since it's not the original structure, I don't know what the rest of the board's thoughts are, but
So doesn't the house have vinyl siding?
the house does, yeah. But then just adding more vinyl siding.
So are you saying that any additions would need not to be vinyl siding?
My thought is just, you're
take
just
it back
adding
to
more
the-
vinyl siding to the neighborhood and probably trying to get away from vinyl siding in the neighborhood more than adding more vinyl siding to the neighborhood, is my thought.
True.
Personally, if the color matches, it won't look so bad if it's not exactly the same, like vinyl siding. I always thought it had to be vinyl siding. That's what we thought. So,
Okay, yeah, that's why I was asking. I was
As long as
wondering
it's
that.
painted the same, I think, I'm not against not having vinyl siding. I bought my house with it on, I didn't put it on, so,
Yeah,
so I'm not against it. Of course, I would paint it to match the same color.
I just noticed, like, the vinyl siding, if you've noticed around the neighborhood, seems to not
It
wear.
was already on there. If I can slightly see the old wooden siding in some
Oh, wow.
spots in my home because it's very, very old, and that doesn't look pleasant either when it's been painted 100 times. I've seen homes with like the old structure without the vinyl, so it's like, what do you do?
Well, and I noticed
it
they
doesn't
did
look, if the old homes don't look good either, and the vinyl siding doesn't look good, but it was already on there when I bought my home.
Which, I'm a fan of I think the hardy board is what they said was another option, correct?
Right.
And I'm always,
The newer
I'm a
stuff will
fan of the
look
hardy
better.
board option because I think
Yeah.
it looks like wood and it's,
But it looks better.
Sturdy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I tend to see some of the people with vinyl sidings have a little bit
Yes,
of
I've
wonkiness
noticed that.
to it.
I got a puppy recently, been walking in the streets a lot more, and I was like, yeah, I could see.
Yeah.
Luckily, my house hasn't started that yet, but I've noticed it's rippling, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with Elizabeth. I like the hardy board direction, if that's something that you
Hardy
would
board
be
or
able
wood.
to do.
yeah. And I'm-
So, all right, so I've heard the discussion between the different members here. So what do you prefer to have, the material finish, what do you prefer to have for the entry door?
Like
The wood,
garage?
I mean, we've got wood or fiberglass.
Metal.
Probably, I prefer like metal over
The
wood.
metal.
Steel.
Yeah, okay,
Steel.
and so the garage door then, here it states it could be steel, wood composite, or fiberglass. So you'd rather have steel too for the garage door,
Or for the entry door.
Yes.
for the entry and the garage?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're the same. So
Yes.
they're stronger and nobody's
Yes.
gonna break
Oh,
in.
yeah, that and with the weather that we always have here,
Yes,
so.
okay, all right.
So, but was that what Trevor was saying, was that they've got the option to get the steel door with the
Yeah.
wood finish, so it still maintains that same look?
Okay, I think that's what I would probably like to see too. If it's the steel with the wood finish, so it looks like the wood, but
Okay.
it's strong.
Right.
Yeah. So,
The underneath doesn't matter as much as what it's gonna look like, and I can
Yeah.
completely understand, I would rather have a more secure door.
Yes.
And if we can do that and address the design elements and the security elements, I think that would be.
Okay.
I have garage doors on my garage that were put in 1952.
Wow. Yeah.
They are so strong, and they are so heavy.
Yeah.
They are not automatic. But anyway, so I'm always thinking about garage doors.
Oh, yeah.
With
You
respect
want
to
it
what I
strong.
have.
Yeah, the old garage that was standing, it was termite eaten, it had holes in it, we had rats coming in and out, we had a raccoon in there, there was like, I mean, it was in horrible condition. So, I mean, it had wooden, it was all made out of wooden doors. So it was all falling apart, I went in there one morning because I used to keep my treadmill in there exercising. I went in to go exercise and there was termites everywhere. My house is bonded. I have it protected by Massey, but the garage, they were like, there's no way. Like, that's beyond. So it needed to be done, honestly.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the board? Or any
No.
comments?
I would approve the hardy board siding for the building itself, and then the metal garage door and the metal door is where I'm at with it.
All right, then, I guess we're ready to call the question. So, we've discussed a lot of different things here, so who would like to make a motion?
Okay, I guess I'll try this.
Okay, Patrice? Yep.
Oh, I think Elizabeth just spoke up.
Oh,
my
yeah. I haven't done this, so I'm gonna make an attempt. Okay.
All right, but when you do it, then hand it over to me so I can read it back,
Okay.
So I get the right wording. Thank you.
Okay. I didn't make any notes, but I'll make them as I go. I move to approve with conditions the request for a certificate of appropriateness to construct a detached garage measuring 20 feet 2 inches by 22 feet 2 inches at the rear of the property at 1425 11th Street, as detailed in attachment A. The conditions of the approval are as follows. The roof pitch will match that of the house, and the material finish will be asphalt shingle. The material finish for the walls will be wood siding or fiber cement siding, as discussed. The material finish for the entry door will be wood or fiberglass or steel, but will have a wood-like finish. And the material finish for the garage door may be steel, wood composite, or fiberglass, but if steel will have a wood-like finish. The motion for approval with conditions is based on a finding that the proposed garage is consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57, City of St. Cloud Land Development Code, Article 3, Division 24, Historic Preservation Overlay, District, Section 3.24.8, and complies with the requirements outlined in ordinance number 2018-57, once the conditions outlined above have been applied. Specifically, the garage design is in compliance with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance, as long as the material finishes are compatible with the predominant materials and finishes outlined in the staff report.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. It's been moved to approve and seconded to approve with the conditions, the request for the certificate of appropriateness to construct a detached garage measuring 20 foot 2 inches by 22 feet 2 inches at the rear of the property at 1425 11th Street as detailed in attachment A. The conditions of approval are as follows. The roof pitch will match that of the house and the material finish will be asphalt shingle. The material finish for walls will be wood siding or fiber cement siding. The material finish for the entry door will be wood or fiberglass or steel, but will have a wood finish. The material finish for the garage door may be steel, wood, composite, or fiberglass, but will have a wood-like finish. The motion for approval with conditions is based on the finding that the proposed garage is consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57, City of St. Cloud Land Development Code, Article 3, Division 24, Historic Preservation Overlay, HPO District, Section 3.24.8, and complies with the requirements outlined in the ordinance number 2018-57, once the conditions outlined above have been applied. Specifically, the garage design is in compliance with the additional criteria requirements outlined in the ordinance as long as the material finishes are compatible with the predominant materials and finishes outlined in the staff report. Is there any further discussion? Then we'll have the vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Thank you
you.
very much for bringing this to our board.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, this goes back to her again. All right. All right. Now, we're looking at the certificate of appropriateness for 1100 Massachusetts Avenue. So, Christine?
The applicant is requesting approval from the Historic Preservation Board for a COA to alter the east and north elevations. The property is located at 1100 Massachusetts Avenue. I have the figure in front of you. Alterations to the east elevation include installation of new windows and doors. On the north elevation include construction of a tower, removal of overhead door, and installation of windows and door. The building is located within the city's commercial business district, CBD2, and within the boundaries of the city's historic preservation district. The building is contributing to the local historic district and contributing to the St. Cloud Downtown National Register Historic District. The Osceola County Property Appraiser reflects the year of construction as 1925. The research conducted during the 2020 survey supports an earlier year of construction, circa 1914, with a substantial addition on the east elevation in 1926. The architectural style is masonry vernacular. The north elevation is reflected in Figure 2, and the east elevation is reflected in Figure 3. Drawings of the proposed alterations are included in Attachment A. Renderings of the proposed alterations are included in Attachment B. Photographs of existing conditions are included in Attachment C. It is important to note that the renderings are provided only to support the drawings and do not match exactly. The COA request is based solely on the dimension drawings. So please use those renderings just as a support document. Proposed alterations to the east elevation include removal of 2 windows centrally located on the second story and replacement with a single lancet arch window of a different dimension. Replacement of 2 windows on the second story with lancet arch windows. The width of the opening to remain the same. The height of the opening and recessed stucco to be modified to accommodate the new lancet arch window, and replacement of entry doors with new lancet arch design. Let me show you that here. Proposed alterations to the north elevation include installation of a tower, removal of overhead garage door, infill of wall, and installation of lancet arch windows, removal of vent and installation of a pair of fixed wood windows simulating the design of double-hung wood windows, and replacement of entry doors with new lancet arch design. The proposed alterations are intended to pay homage to the 1926 design of the building, which is reflected in your figure 4. The alterations are not an exact reconstruction of prior conditions. Just see, oops. Here's your north elevation. And this is the post-1926 version of the building. Let me know if there's any slide that you want me to settle on. Okay, Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation apply to this project. So I'm going to go through some of these. On 1, a property shall be used for its historic purpose or placed in a new use that requires minimal change to the defining characteristics of the building and its site environment. Staff's comments are, the property originally functioned as a church and has since been converted to mixed use. There were some changes to defining characteristics, such as replacement of original windows with an overhead garage door and vent and removal of the tower. 2, the historic character of a property shall be retained and preserved. The removal of historic materials or alteration of features and spaces that character a property shall be avoided. The comments to that are, there are proposed alterations to original window openings on the east elevation that should be avoided. Number 3, each property shall be recognized as a physical record of its time, place, and use. Changes that create a false sense of historical development, such as adding conjectural features or architectural elements from other buildings, shall not be undertaken. The comments to that are, changes to the east elevation add conjectural features and architectural elements such as lancet arch windows and doors. 4, most properties change over time. Those changes that have acquired historic significance in their own right shall be retained and preserved. Staff's comments are, the property was constructed in 3 distinct phases. The central part of the building was constructed circa 1914. The east-facing portion of the building was added in 1926, and the west-facing portion was added mid-century. Each of these elevations have acquired historic significance in their own right. Number 5, distinctive features, finishes, and construction techniques or examples of craftsmanship that characterize a property shall be preserved. The comments are, distinctive features such as original wall recesses and concrete canopies should be preserved. Number 6, deteriorated historic features shall be repaired rather than replaced. Where the severity of deterioration requires a replacement of a distinctive feature, the new feature shall match in design, color, texture, and other visual qualities, and where possible, materials. Replacement of missing features shall be substantiated by documentary, physical, or pictorial evidence. The comments there are, the replacement of missing features such as the tower and original windows on the north elevation are substantiated by documentary, physical, and pictorial evidence. However, the proposed designs are not exact reconstructions. 7, chemical or physical treatments such as sandblasting that cause damage to historic materials shall not be used. The surface cleaning of structures, if appropriate, shall be undertaken using the gentlest means possible. Staff's comments are, chemical or physical treatments have not been proposed. 8, significant archaeological resources affected by a project shall be protected and preserved. If such resources must be disturbed, mitigation measures shall be undertaken. Comments there are known archaeological resources on site and disturbance is not expected. 9, new addition, exterior alterations or related new construction on the same parcel of land shall not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. The new work shall be differentiated from the old and shall be compatible with massing, size, scale, and architectural features to protect the historic integrity of the property and its environment. The comments are, the proposed alterations do not destroy historic materials that characterize the property. And 10, new additions or related new construction on a parcel of land adjacent to a historic property shall be undertaken in such a manner that if removed in the future, the essential form and integrity of the historic property and its environment would be unimpaired. Staff's comments are, new additions and related new construction are not proposed for this. It's just alterations to existing conditions. Staff recommends that the HPB approve with conditions the request for the following. A certificate of appropriateness to alter the north elevation at 1100 Massachusetts Avenue. The conditions suggested for the approval are as follows. Proposed tower shall be a reconstruction of the original tower as closely as possible based on pictorial evidence. Proposed lancet arch windows on the north elevation to replace overhead garage door will be a reconstruction of the original window design, location, and materials as closely as possible, based on pictorial evidence. Proposed windows on north elevation to replace vent will be a reconstruction of the original window design and materials as closely as possible, based on pictorial evidence. The original windows were operable. The new windows may be inoperable due to their inaccessible location on the interior. The recommendation for approval with conditions for alterations to the north elevation is based on a finding that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57 and comply with the requirements outlined in that ordinance once the conditions outlined have been applied. Specifically, the proposed alterations restore earlier features and do not alter features that have gained significance in their own right. And staff is recommending that the HPB deny the request for a certificate of appropriateness to alter the east elevation at 1100 Massachusetts Avenue. The recommendation for denial for alterations to the east elevation is based on a finding that the proposed alterations are not consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57 and do not comply with the requirements outlined in that ordinance. Specifically, proposed alterations to the east elevation add conjectural features and architectural elements such as lancet arch windows and doors. These changes create a false sense of historical development and should not be undertaken.
All right, are there any comments or questions from the board members?
May I ask a question? Okay, so you're saying that HPB has requested that the HPB deny this elevation here?
Correct.
Because I'm flipping through all kinds of papers here. And, whoops, sorry. This is what they are depicting that they want to do. Is this correct?
So I would refer to the dimension drawings and just use those renderings as a support document. So I'd call your attention to the actual dimension drawings because they most closely reflect what the applicant is proposing. So right here on the overhead, I have that east elevation drawing. And you can see, let's see if I can actually get the pointer here. This door down here, they're proposing to change out the door, and actually, the door does not have a lancet arch on top right now, so they're proposing to create that. And this center window is not there right now. I'll go to your figure. Let me bounce back here for a second. So these are existing conditions. Okay, so you can see these. The windows up here are actually not dated to the 1926 time period. I believe when they did the addition on the back mid-century is when they replaced the windows. But the window openings are the original window openings. And so what the applicant is proposing for this elevation is to change this to a lancet arch window, this to one large window in the center, and proposing changes to this entry feature. So all of those would change what this original 1926 appearance would be, and that's the reason for the recommendation of denial on the east facade. Now, are you ready for me to move on to the north facade?
Well,
Questions?
my question is, do we have because this doesn't show well the east facade because it's covered with a palm tree. Do we have anything in record that would show a better depiction of what the building, the east facade, actually looked like?
Your existing conditions photo,
That's the
figure
latest
two.
one we have.
And that's
for
it?
the-
Yeah,
We don't have a 1920, 1914
No.
type? Okay.
no, I looked. I tried to find any historic photos, and we did look, when we did the 2020 survey, we did do your research on this property.
Okay.
That's what we got, unfortunately. But, you know, physical evidence does not show that there were ever lancet arch windows on this side. What you can see from the image that the 1926 era image, if you take a magnifying glass to that, you can't see any visible evidence of these things having existed. And there's no physical evidence on the building that shows us that it ever was Lancet Arch or that there was a main window in the middle. There's no evidence that supports that that was there before.
Because I do see some, if I'm using the term correctly, the Lancet Arch windows on the,
North.
thank you.
Yes, so I'll bring you to the north elevation here. So this is existing conditions on the north elevation. So at some point in time when this building was being worked on, you can see that right here is what we're referring to as that 1914 kind of core of the building right here. So this whole addition was done in 1925 or 26. We have 26 in our records. We don't know at what point the tower was removed, but the tower was located right here. You had a Lancet Arch window on this side, a Lancet Arch window on that side, and two Lancet Arch windows here with double hung window here. So let me show you what that looked like. So right here, that's that same elevation. So you can see that there's a Lancet Arch window there, and there's one on the other side.
Was there evidence of the windows when you went?
Yes, if you actually go out there, you could see the ghosting of those
Okay.
Lancet Arch windows through the stucco. And
Okay.
the applicant, when he comes up, he may actually tell you that there may be physical evidence inside the building. I did not go inside the building, but we do know that they were there. We have a good idea of where they were located. And then again, you know, if you zoom in on these.
I just was wondering, because if you didn't see it, then I could say that maybe there would be, that's why you weren't seeing it on the other side. But
side.
if you saw it on the.
No, you can see it. Yeah, you can, especially on this side here, you could very clearly see it. And this up here, if you were to zoom in on this was a double hung window that had a mullion separation between those two. So it was a pair of two double hung windows, but that area is not an area that's accessible right now, so it really doesn't matter if they have an operable window or not. So they're looking at a fixed window, but replicating basically that appearance would be replicated, and then the tower would be replicated as closely as possible. And so therefore, we're recommending approval based on not just the pictorial evidence you see here, but the physical evidence that we could see in the field.
And I noticed in the denial, we didn't say anything about the actual, I mean, they did say conjectural features and architect, but they didn't mention the actual, like, not an architect, so I don't know what you're on, but along the top of that is completely different than what they have proposed. The architectural,
Are you talking about the roof line?
yeah.
Yeah, that was already altered, so.
No, not that part, on the
Are you-
east elevation?
Okay,
Yeah. What the historical picture is, and then what they have proposed is very different.
yeah.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to know what, even though we don't, what type of doors those actually were, because if you look at the north elevation where the tower is, that looks like that's the main entrance into the church, because there are doors below that tower.
So the building, actually, this wall right here where you see this gable,
Right?
that was the front of that 1914 building.
Okay.
So that would have been where the original entry was. Actually, I take that back. That was where a very large window was, and the original entry was here at the tower.
Right.
So when they constructed this, they kind of covered that entire facade. That facade may exist inside interior walls, I don't know, but this here appears to be, again, if you could look at a good quality photo under a magnifying glass, is very close to what is there right now, with the exception of the windows. The windows were definitely changed at some point in time to the metal windows. The one other change I'll call to your attention, but it was done in the past, well before the property owner purchased the property, was that this actually used to be a flat roof with a parapet.
Oh,
What happened was they extended this gable all the way forward and put a roof over this. So I'll show you in the next. So that gable roof now carries all the way to the front of the building. It actually used to be a parapet, so it was flat roof behind this and then kind of the projecting feature above here. But that was already changed in the past, and we recently signed off on a re-roof, so I think the re-roof project has already happened? Yes. Yeah. So that's the only other difference. But it is a building that's has 3 very distinct time periods of construction.
Yes.
So that's also something for you to consider.
Are we ready to discuss this, first side, this north side a little bit more, the north elevation?
Would you all like the applicant to come up for any questions, or do you still have questions for me?
Well, I'm not sure. Ed, if you have a question for Christine, let's ask. Then we'll have the applicant come up.
Not yet. I'm just still trying to process a lot.
It is a lot. That's a beautiful building,
It
though.
is a
Yeah, it's
beautiful building,
it's
and
a
I'm
great
excited
building.
that you're doing something with it, but this is a lot. I'm sure on our end, it's a lot. At your end, it's a whole lot. And thank you for taking on this
What will be
building.
the
We
new use?
appreciate it.
Okay.
He's keeping it as an existing use. It's mixed use, and so there's residential on the second floor. He's got businesses on the first floor. Just at this point in time, looking to do some aesthetic upgrades, including some exciting site work of having like a cafe area outside. So,
Well, let's, if there are no other questions for you, then let's have the applicant come up and talk about the building a little bit.
Hi, my name is David Vivas, and the property is 1100 Massachusetts Avenue. I'm requesting the application to approval of renovation or, the work on the facade of the building, the front or east elevation, that's how it's called, and the north elevation mainly.
Do we have some questions for the applicant?
I do.
Okay, I'm a little tired because I just got back from vacation. But I'm gonna work at this. So we're denying the east elevation. Is he coming back with another plan, or what are we doing?
If we deny it.
If we deny it,
well, I don't know that you made the decision to deny that east elevation yet, but
I don't have a plan B as
Okay.
an alternative option. Especially, there's a very, very limited information on this building. I was able, when I purchased the building, I just fell in love with it. I only walked once, and I say, I love it. Perfect. I was able to see a photo from the funeral home from Fisk. At one time, they had an event, and they had a photo that it reflected the building. And above the main entrance, there used to be a vitrine, like a color glass vitrine. That's why on the actual photo, current image, you can see the arch. That used to be a fixed glass. I don't know if we can go.
are you referring to the original?
To the current conditions. You can see the arch where glass used to be at. There.
So this whole thing right there,
Yes,
you're saying was
that-
all glass?
Correct. That used to be a glass panel, color glass. And right above that, there's a small square that used to be a bell. That's what I was able to see on a photo from Fisk. What my design, what I proposed was to bring from the 1914 windows, which was removed, was covered when they did the 1926 addition. They removed that window completely. What I wanted to do is to bring that into the front of the building. And I believe you had the photo, I saw it on the presentation for the 1914, even the other one, even, I think it's on the, you know. No?
So I think I understand what you're saying is that the original, not on this wall, but on the original construction.
Correct.
Okay.
On the 1914, let me see if I have.
And you're just trying to bring that feature onto this wall.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because you said this wall was added in what, about 1926, this section? So this would have been the part that was part of the 1914 wall, which would have been set back further.
Yeah. There's a photo. Can I look at my phone for the image, for the photo? I believe I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you have it? Oh, perfect. Thank you. Yep, that's the one I was talking about. Perfect, thank you.
Now, while I bring this up again, so just for clarification, what he's proposing would be taking something that was on the prior elevation, that wall is now hidden, and kind of bringing those design features forward. But keep in mind, there are 3 distinct time periods here, and
How does
per
that,
the Secretary of the Interior Standards, you're supposed to recognize each time period.
so how would
Okay.
would that be going against the ordinances? Would that be something that is up to us? How is the?
Well, that's why the
legalese?
recommendation is for denial.
Okay.
Because that is, in the Secretary of Interior Standards, that's not considered a preservation treatment. That's more conjectural, and it's also more like kind of taste aesthetic, but it doesn't really represent what was historically there. So it creates what they call a false sense of history, so a false sense of what the building was. But that's up to the board. I'm interpreting the Secretary of the Interior Standards. You all might have a different interpretation of your ordinance, but I do want to show you what he's talking about.
Well, Christine, let me ask you a question. If we approve the 1914 facade on the 1926 face, what will that do to the historical significance of the building to our community?
It changes it. I mean, it changes the character of what has been there for quite some time. I mean, we're looking at an elevation that's been that way since the 1926, or we're looking at almost 100 years. So you're making a change to a facade that's almost been like that for 100 years.
Okay.
But I do want to show you what David is talking about here. So that's the original 1914 building that you're seeing.
But that's in the back, and then they brought it forward, so that's offset behind it.
Luckily, that's just.
When they did the addition, when
That's
they did the
hidden
addition.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think it's probably behind that wall.
Right.
I mean, that is unfortunate. It is a significant difference.
Yeah.
Here's another image of.
I mean, it looks like a completely different building.
For church. That'd be all they, that they would be using it for church. They'd be using it for regular business, it's not, you're putting stained glass windows in buildings.
I think you and I see things out of the same sheet of music.
It was brick.
Christine, the photo that you pulled up just prior, is that post-1926 construction on that one?
The one that I just pulled up
Just
was
pulled
the-
up prior here, right before you pulled that one up. I just caught a glimpse of it. It looked like the addition was there, but that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
I wanted to see what's in that arch.
Yeah, Christine, are
Yep.
we, I'm sorry.
Isn't that
Oh,
what
that
is
was over there.
currently there?
That is what's currently there. That is
That
the
looks
current
like
facade.
windows.
There was something in that arch. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah,
see?
there used to be, in that arch, used to be a
Oh, I want to see.
Yeah,
colored glass.
that's,
On
Like a stained
the latest
glass?
edition.
On the latest edition, yes.
I think I'm,
it was a stained glass.
It's not the windows, it's not the
There
windows
is
that are
something
there.
On the
are we
26th
overthinking
edition
Yeah.
this?
in that space.
Oh, let me see that.
And I-
Whether it's a, I can't tell whether
We're
it's a
giving
stained
it the
glass or whether there's a
consideration.
statuary there.
Yeah, I think
but
we're
there
giving it
is something
consideration. I think we're
there.
giving
There
it,
used to be a colored tint glass, and I was able to see it because of Fisk. When I purchased the building. I
You
went to
know,
the-
Yeah,
I've-
that's, because you would think that shape
went to
would
the
be.
City Hall trying to find-
That's what I was, I
Yeah.
wanted to
I'm
that's what-
just about,
And there was none. Then-
oh, I just can't. I
from the
gotta keep
funeral
my
home, I
mouth
was able
shut.
to see that photo, and I was like, I would
I really do.
love to see that glass
Because-
again.
Yeah.
Does he's saying he thinks that there is something
What was the doors like?
after.
Right.
in the 1920s.
Madam Chair,
I mean, and it
help
does
us
almost
out.
appear like it's bubbled up
Excuse me?
or.
Christine,
Yes.
can we see that?
Help
I
us
recognize
out.
Tony, what did you say, though? I didn't hear
Do you
you.
see,
Because
oh,
when I zoom in, it crashes.
oh, sh-
I
do
gotta
you,
go just 1 second.
do you
Uh,
see?
help us out.
Yeah, I do. I
Help
see
us
like a
out.
little,
Yeah, because I'm,
You're fading
Like an
fast, I can
image.
well,
tell.
no,
Yeah.
I'm not fading. My patience is fading
It
fast.
looks almost
I
square.
think
Yes,
we
okay,
are
I thought that was-
overworking it.
There we go. Okay,
It's a, what is it?
that's the 1926 version of the building.
And what do you call it?
The window?
I don't care what you're looking at. What do you call it?
The building.
The building. Christine,
1100 Massachusetts Avenue?
no.
Building itself, what it represents.
What does it represent?
That's a masonry vernacular church building.
Thank you, Jesus.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Okendo?
Yes, I saw it.
Okay, yeah, if you can, come in. I'm just trying to see what the doors, okay, so the doors aren't arched, but, yeah, okay. I would approve windows like that.
There was a.
Yeah, basically what he's got,
Location.
yeah.
I miss me too.
Christine, do you feel like Vanna White?
Okay, so now this is a 19, so this is a 1926.
And unfortunately, those are
something there.
custom
There
windows,
is-
so on the renderings, what you see
The only
is
difference is
something
the small
as
windows
close
that
as
do
possible.
not have.
The designers, they just
So
use
the-
some
the small windows
stacks
do
or
not have the
some,
lancet arch.
what's
Yeah.
available on the software, I guess.
This,
But it will be something close to what you
Yeah,
saw
I
in the
go see the
pictures
pain.
on the
This
1926.
new thing that started hurting after I
Unfortunately,
had
this
the
is what
surgery.
our
for
renderings
that
look
part,
Fine.
yeah, I,
But now I have,
kind of.
It's just a
oh,
movement.
pictorial it is, okay, I think I might make the motion, okay.
And really, you could actually even change this
That was
to
very
Thank
similar to what we
do you
saw.
know?
Okay,
One of the big.
pictorial evidence,
I'm sure.
I'm almost tempted to say they
Turn
need
off
to
your
come
mic.
back now
Center.
with that picture.
on the center, would that be the center,
We could approve the,
central windows? Center second floor windows.
Okay, let's come together as a whole group here
Okay, I think I'm ready.
and see what we're going to do, all right? So,
Olive, can I ask a question? On those
Yes.
doors that were below that, what type of doors were those? Were they like regular wood church-looking doors?
They look like regular wood panels.
Wood panel doors.
And
Yeah,
you've
no
got-
arch.
Okay, so
No
you've got
arch.
something similar on here. Do they have the Lancet top as well?
No.
No, it looks like they're recessed with a slight
Like
arch,
arch.
a very slender kind of arch.
Maybe
'Cause I was
it
gonna say maybe-
overdone.
Yeah,
on-
maybe
on the
adjust the
renderings.
door. Okay, sorry.
All right, are we able to make a motion?
Okay, thank you very much for explaining about the building and so forth, all right? Thank you. All right, so are we ready to call the question? Okay,
I would like to make a motion on the east element,
oh, on the east.
the one that we're discussing right now. is the
Correct.
east. I'd like
Okay.
to make a motion to approve with conditions a certificate of appropriateness to alter the east elevation at 1100 Massachusetts Avenue based on pictorial evidence on the center of the second floor windows for the central. I'd like to approve that centerpiece. I'd like to deny the two side windows. There's no pictorial evidence that those were like that in 1926.
And additionally, deny the Lancet door, correct?
Can I see the picture again? I'm sorry. I'll repeat that motion. I'll repeat it. Just as-
Okay, because I wrote
know
a
that was
few
a little
things down, but
confusing,
I'm
I'm
not
sorry.
sure what I got.
Christine's like, don't make me
Okay.
try to pick this thing up again.
No, I downloaded it, so it's.
The door has something about it, I can't.
And it's, the image quality isn't very good. It looks like the wood doors are a little bit recessed, and that's a shadow. So it looks like there was something arched, and that the doors were recessed.
Like that this is an arch above the door? So it does almost look like there was an arch over the door. Okay.
But not as strong as.
It looks like the opening was arched and the doors were recessed from the facade, which is not what he's proposing.
So if you use the word arch and you use the word Lancet, it's two different images, is that correct?
Yeah, I wouldn't even get that technical. If you are wanting to give him an ability to regrade this elevation, I would just reference that and say to get the drawings as close as possible. I mean, you don't have dimensions here, so it would
Correct.
have to be as close as reasonably possible.
Okay, and do we have a date on that, do we have a date on that picture?
Let's call this the First Baptist Church image that is numbered,
Image numbered,
and the number in the lower right corner is
2-H-360. Okay.
And that could be in the 2020 survey file.
He wasn't
Okay. All
just
right.
sit there and suffer.
So I would like to make a motion to
Please.
approve a certificate of appropriateness to alter the east elevation at 1100 Massachusetts Avenue with conditions for the pictorial center with the second, for the pictorial center, based on pictorial evidence of the 2020 survey, First Baptist Church image numbered 2H360, that the materials and design will match as closely as possible that image. The two side panels on that window, I'm recommending that we deny that based on it's not consistent with the purpose and intents of our ordinance and would create a false sense of history. Do you need anything else, Madam Chair?
I'm never gonna, I'm never gonna make you said it very, very well. I just am not going to be able to repeat what you said, that's all.
You guys are not.
All right, I'm going to have her repeat it. But is there a second?
Second,
Oh, okay, seconded by Tony
From the big
Jones,
mouth.
Member Jones, all right, yes. Just go ahead and repeat what you just said.
Okay. I'll
The
try
whole
that again.
thing.
Okay. I have recommended that we approve a certificate of appropriateness to alter the east elevation at 1100 Massachusetts Avenue with conditions. I'm recommending approval of the pictorial centerpiece based on pictorial evidence referenced in the 2020 survey file, First Baptist Church, image number 2-SH-360, that the materials and design will match as closely as possible that image. And I'm recommending denial on the 2 side panels based on the findings of the Secretary of Standards and our ordinance 2018-57, City of St. Cloud Land Development Code, as it does not comply with our requirements, so it does not create a false sense of history.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any other discussion? All right, then it's time to vote. So we'll vote on the motion now. All those in favor of the motion as she read it, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, so the motion passed. All right, so that's the east side, east spot. All right, now we're on to the north, right? North, all right.
This one should be easy.
This should be easy.
It's a lot more work.
I had read and reread these motions ahead of time, I'll tell you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now we're on the north. All right, so is there anything you want to tell us about
need
the
to go to math.
north side?
I would love to
And
see that
confession.
tower again. I'm thrilled for that.
Twice.
That's,
I think we're all in
Okay.
agreement with the tower.
and closing
All right,
that,
any
there's a
questions from
bay
the
door.
board about the north side? No?
I have no issue.
Okay. All right, so I guess I'll entertain a motion then to approve these certificate of appropriateness. So who would like to make the motion?
I'll move.
Trevor? Trevor is
I move to approve with conditions the request for the certificate of appropriateness to alter the north elevation of 1100 Massachusetts Avenue. The conditions of approval are as follows. The proposed tower shall be a reconstruction of the original tower as closely as possible based on pictorial evidence. Proposed Lancet arch windows on the north elevation to replace the overhead garage door will be a reconstruction of the original window design, location, material as closely as possible based on pictorial evidence. Proposed windows on the north elevation to replace vent will be a reconstruction of the original window design and material as closely as possible based on pictorial evidence. The original windows were operable. The new windows may be inoperable due to their inaccessible location on the interior. The motion for approval of conditions is based on the findings that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57, City of St. Cloud Land Development Code, Article 3, Division 24, Historic Preservation Overlay District, Section 3.24.8, and complies with the requirements outlined in the ordinance number 2018-57. Once the conditions outlined above have been applied, specifically the proposed alterations restore earlier features and do not alter features that have gained significance in their own right.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
Amen.
Who seconded it? Oh, okay, Carmelo, okay. It's been Moved and
man,
seconded to approve with conditions the request for the certificate of appropriateness to alter the north elevation of 1100 Massachusetts Avenue.
Life
The conditions of approval are as follows.
and your chariot.
Proposed tower shall be a reconstruction of the original tower as closely as possible based on pictorial evidence. Proposed lancet arch windows on the north elevation to replace overhead garage door will be a reconstruction of the original window design, location, and materials as closely as possible based on pictorial evidence. Proposed windows on the north elevation to replace vent will be a reconstruction of the original window design and materials as closely as possible based on pictorial evidence. The original windows were operable. The new windows may be inoperable due to their inaccessible location on the interior. The motion for approval with conditions is based on the finding that the proposed alterations are consistent with the purpose and intent of ordinance number 2018-57, City of the St. Cloud Land Development Code, Article 3, Division 24, Historic Preservation Overlay, HPO District, Section 3.24.8, and complies with the requirements outlined in ordinance number 2018-57. Once the conditions outlined above have been applied, specifically, the proposed alterations restore earlier features and do not alter features that have gained significance in their own right. Okay. Is there any other discussion? No?
My only
Okay,
dis-
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Can I ask?
Thank you for bringing your property to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She,
I think Patrice had something.
you have
My
questions?
only
Yes.
question was where cobblestone is right now?
Correct.
Because there's not any pictures, I've been flipping through all these things. So it looks like you're adding a lancet window up against that one wall where it's bumped out where the garage door is?
Correct. Mhm.
And then the rest, you're pretty much maintaining the same with updated windows and a door?
We're adding, there used to be two lancet windows, one in each side.
Okay.
So we're reopening those windows. But you can see on the center blocks, through the stucco, you can see the.
Okay.
So you're
the previous-
putting a lancet back in?
Correct.
Okay.
And then we're closing the bay door and doing the.
Okay, I just wanted to double check, because there's a lot of pictures here. And and I've been flipping through them. But, okay, I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank
I
you.
do
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other public comment from anyone out in the audience there? This is the time we do public comment. No, don't think so. All right. Okay, individual board comments. Okay, we'll start down here with Member Campbell.
I'm excited that you're taking this project on. I think it'll be a great addition to our community and in our historic area, so thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for investing in our historic area. We appreciate it.
And if I could just add, he's been like a breath of fresh air to work with. So it's so much fun when you have a property owner who wants to bring features back and restore some original windows. He's already working on that, so we're
Yeah,
excited.
It'll be great. Thank you.
Do you have any comments? No? No? Well, my only comment is I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back home again. And glad this was a very interesting meeting tonight. That was good. Yep. Member Steele?
No comments this evening, thank you.
No, no comment.
No? No? Member Jones?
I'm so fortunate I only had to miss one meeting. This has been an experience tonight. Thank you all for welcoming me back. I really feel right at home. And I want to introduce you all to my wonderful caregiver, Patricia, who drugged me here tonight. She was kind enough to drive me in her car because I'm not road ready yet. And the people who drug me off the curb and into the building crying so I could get in here in time, and you with your chariot who rolled me in. It's so good to be back home. The surgery that I had done, by the way, completely cured me. That is not why I'm crippled. It's something different, in a different part of my back. And so now my doctor has me set up to see a pain medicine doctor on the 14th of this month over in Kissimmee. So we'll go over and see what wisdom he has to impart on me. But it's in the lower part of my back. So we'll see what he has to say.
Well, we're glad you're back.
I
We're
am
glad you're
so
back, too.
glad I'm
It's
back.
not the same without you.
All right.
It's not the same without you.
No, no.
Oh, I'm sure it isn't.
All right, our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, October 10th, 2023, at 6 o'clock. Are we going to have a work session before that meeting?
We are.
Okay, so
We
we'll
are.
meet here at 5 o'clock.
Yep.
Okay, for that.
And Madam Chair, before we adjourn, can I go over a couple of things that I
Yes.
know I did not have on the agenda, but I wanted to give you a heads up. So Krizia has been kind enough to print these and put these on the table in front of you. I think they have them in front of them. Okay, so this is the start of your HPB notebooks.
Oh, yeah.
We're gonna actually let you take these home.
Oh.
And we're gonna ask
Oh.
that you bring it back to us. Can we trust that everybody will bring it back to us?
Yes.
So this is a little bit of a homework assignment. We want you to take these home and review the information that's been provided to you in here and see what else you may want to have included in those notebooks, and what you might want to have changed of what we've given you over here. And so that way we can finalize the notebooks, hopefully before the end of the year. They'll be completely final. And we will have the notebooks for you to reference during the meetings. And you'll have a digital copy. That way, if you want to look at it when you're home, we could compile all that. This doesn't have a table of contents to it yet. Obviously, the final notebook will have a table of contents. It will have tabs, so you could flip to things easily. But just asking you for that. The other thing I wanted to go over in here is there has been discussion at past meetings about your HPB bylaws being outdated. So your HPB bylaws are in here. So that's another part of your homework assignment, to please look at those bylaws, make any notes that you want to discuss. That's going to be on our work session for next month, is discussion of the HPB bylaws and potential changes to your bylaws. Okay?
Sounds good.
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds really
Yes,
good.
every attachment that Krizia was kind enough to send me to open up and read, I couldn't. And I don't know why.
Okay?
And
I'm sorry, was that like that for everybody?
I had trouble viewing the PDF. When I went to enlarge it, it became less and less readable the larger it got.
yeah, I could not open up any of the, I just couldn't open them up. I couldn't open up any of the work sessions you sent me. Nada.
So what we probably should do is stage a couple of tests between now and the next meeting. So Krizzy and I will work on that with you all to get some test emails with attachments sent to you and accessing the box link and see which one of those works best before the next meeting.
Okay, because I tried and I tried and I tried so hard. Tried.
We will figure it out.
Okay.
All right, our
did.
meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.
Thank you.